Hello everyone and welcome back to Oxygen Not Included. So, just to kind of like pick up from where I left off in my last video on this game, I did go ahead and start a new colony, and this one has actually done a lot better than my other one. But what I've learned here, I might take back to that other one to see if that other colony can be saved. That guy does not look happy. Seriously, look at that. That is not a happy face. That is not happy. Anyway, so technologically speaking, I did progress a lot farther with this colony than I have with any of my others. Of course, one thing I still need to do is extend this main vertical deal here to come up here to where, and then bridge the gap between, you know, here and here. But I'm still trying to figure out what to do about these gas pockets here. Speaking of gas pockets, so I started experimenting with using a hydrogen-powered power system to generate its own hydrogen by way of, just show you the electrical circuits that are in play here. Ignore this for now. Basically, by using one of my dupes to jump-start it, this system powers a couple of electrolyzers here, or electrolyzers, whatever you call the plural, to basically take water and convert it to oxygen and hydrogen. Oxygen for the duplicants to breathe, obviously, and then hydrogen to be fed into this tank over here, which then powers this generator, or fuels the generator, and then the generator provides power for this. A perpetual motion machine, if you will. Now, of course, the system does require frequent jump starting by the dupes because, well, as you can see here, this hydrogen generator puts out 800 watts. And over here, we've got 240 here, 240 there, making 480. And then 500, 600, 720. And I don't know what those draw. Off the top of my head. Let me find where I got another one installed. Oh, and then those draw 240 as well. So let's see, we got damn it. So we got 240 when that's up. 240 there, that's 480. 600, 720, 840, 960. So we're already consuming more power than this one generator puts out by itself. It is possible for it to be tuned up, but for some reason there is no dedicated tune-up task. It's like it's something that a duplicant with the ability to do something with that has to do on their own. And when this does get upgraded, it gains 50% power output, which takes it up to 1.2 kilowatts, which still would put it at the maximum of what this circuit consumes. So, yeah, there's that problem. The other problem is, see, the only way for air to get in or out of this room right here, aside from these gates here, which is not really an issue because oxygen is heavier than hydrogen, so usually the hydrogen is forced to the top of this room. Like an idiot, I installed this airflow tile with the intention being that anything outside, or with the intention being that the oxygen in this room would be allowed to more freely flow around. Turns out that's not such a good idea because now, over here, where I got this high heat output kiln and this rock crusher, I have a cloud of hydrogen gas floating around the top of this room, and then somehow the oxygen is passing through the wall over here, coming over here into this little corner here, and then coming up through this door. It is now in the room with the coal power plant. So, yeah. I'm none too eager to find out if stuff like hydrogen can explode if it gets heated in this game. So, I'm trying to figure out a way. And great, there's also hydrogen up here now. That's just freaking lovely. So, on that note, what I'm thinking of doing, what I've thought about doing actually, since I've started experimenting with the approach of putting each circuit on its own power grid, is, for instance, this room is being repurposed, by the way. Since I'm moving all of my carbon dioxide suckers down to the lower levels of the base, because CO2 is a pretty heavy gas, so I can put something down here that will, and then I just move the system down lower and lower as I go. But having some rooms set up that are at the low level that are meant to just simply depressurize the CO2 in the air instead of processing it back into oxygen, they just convert it into sewer water, which can then be purified into normal water. But then also at the mid-level, because you can see the hydrogen or the oxygen likes to congregate around the middle of the base, and then I can just use oxygen diffusers further and further up to create hydrogen up at the top, which will then work its way down. And then also having rooms up at the top that are meant to siphon off hydrogen gas and send it to the various hydrogen tanks throughout the base, or that will be throughout the base. You know, so that way the hydrogen doesn't escape up to the top of the base and start killing off duplicates that go up there or potentially explode. Potentially, in air quotes. So, oh, and then there's this mess here. This is on its own circuit and it's entirely manually powered, so I'm not wasting resources really by using this. But you see, I've been trying to get one of my main researchers to try to, you know, analyze this so that I can put one of these over the top of it to get some power that way. And but yeah, check that out. 163 degrees Fahrenheit, 156. This water is about 3/4 of the way to boiling, and it's even hot down here. And here, I'll just show you this way. But anyway, the purpose of this system is this gas pump, which is in a cooler air section of the base, funnels that air into these thermoregulators where it gets forcibly cooled from being 88.7 degrees Fahrenheit down to okay, there it is. Contents, gases at 54. Contents empty. Empty, 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 empty. Oh yeah, that's because this pipe was decompressed when everything over here was shut down. But anyway, the idea was that the gas that was in here would be extremely cold coming out of these vents to try and lower the temperature around this vent so that my researchers can stand to be around the vent without burning themselves. And it partially was successful. I don't know why this water got polluted. I don't even know what all's in this. Iron ore, granite, phosphorite, ladder, polluted water. Polluted water. Seriously, why is this water polluted? The only thing I can think of is that somebody took, because this can happen, I mean, it's almost like Space Sims. Your duplicates actually can't, one of them probably took a leak while working on installing this vent pipe. And that's probably where this came from, because the nearest restrooms are over here. And the funny thing is, oh, and then there's also some up here. I'm going to go ahead and start the flow of time on here. So, but anyway, yeah, so that's how that happened. So, one mod I did start using because I still have yet to understand the intricacies of setting up a chlorine room for purifying stuff. Anyway, it's just basically germicidal UV lights. And oh yeah, also, because this geyser keeps erupting, and because I got this whole setup right here, why are these vents overpressurized? Seriously, why are they overpressurized? The air's not even flowing. Anyway, the gist of it is, every time this geyser up here erupts, it floods this area with water, which then flows down here, goes down into here, and flows down into my main reservoir here, where I got these germicidal UV lights, but alas, they don't reach all the way down to the very bottom, but at least there's not as many germs getting sucked up into the pipes as there was before. So, and then I also had this set up over here, which its purpose was to pump all the water out of here and transfer it to this main reservoir, because I figured since I got all my elaborate plumbing over here, I was just going to have that be my main reservoir. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to siphon the rest of this clean water off now. But then also this pitcher pump here serves as the main source of manual water for nearby stuff. So I should probably set a research focus, huh? Liquid tuning. Cools the liquid pipe through it, but outputs heat in its immediate... Okay, so it's basically a water cooler. Water tepidizer warms large bodies of liquid. Oh, perfect. I think if you wanted to have like a reservoir of water that was set up just for the showers, so that your duplicates could take a hot shower instead of a whatever temperature the water in the pipe is. Let's see, liquid pipe element sensor. Turns green when it detects a certain liquid. Sends a red signal, or red or green, depending on the chosen temperature. Let's see. I know one thing I do need to work on is their morale. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to have that be the focus for a while. And yes, I know I can get another printable, but let's see. Thing is I don't really have anywhere to put a bed for another guy, so I'm just going to sit on that one for a while. Now, the interesting thing about the skill system in this is, see, like, watch the morale system over here. You'll see he's got a morale of 4, but his morale need is that he needs to be at least morale level 3 in order to be happy. Now, anytime you add skills to their pool, the morale need goes up some. 1 point for anything on this side, 3 points for anything in the middle, and 6 points for... Oh, wait a minute. This is 1. Okay, so this one adds 2 to their morale need, and this one adds... And these ones add 3. These ones add 4. So morale becomes more and more important the more you train these guys. So if you want morale to stay an easy thing to manage, only train them in what they like, because, like, for instance, this one ups their morale need by 1, but also ups their actual morale level by 1, and this one by 2, respectively. These just increase their need for happiness, because you're training them in things they don't want, that they have no interest in. So, like, this guy who's basically our main plumber, you know, that's his thing, but he doesn't really much care for these. So if I train him in farming, he's gonna want there to be something around to make him happier, because now he's gonna go from being I'm slightly happy to just meh. But you know what? No one ever said I had to spend his skill points, so. Now, another thing too is like, for instance, I do have a lot of these manual generators. It's because I've run out of coal and I don't have enough hydrogen generation going on as yet to be able to run my base off of hydrogen gas. So, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. And then also, you may have noticed I got a lot of like polluted water around here, which is the reason why I'm pumping the water. One of the reasons why I'm pumping the water out of here is because I'm going to expand my colony's sewer system into this space so I can put in more of these. So, and then I might even expand this out to give me a bit of a bigger natural water reserve. So, yeah, there's that. Or, you know, I might just expand it. Yeah, I might just expand it out this way. But that's something I'm going to actually do slowly because I still need this pitcher pump to remain operational, and that won't happen if the water level drops below the point where it is right now. I mean, I've only got like 3/4 of a ton worth of water available in all of these tiles, which is, but yeah. Yeah, like see there, water level's holding steady, and that's with water flowing in through here, running down through here, and then you got this pump here siphoning some of it off to keep this full. Maybe I should adjust this here. Current pressure. Okay, so yeah, when the pressure on this sensor hits 900 kilograms, it'll shut off, which will turn this off. There we go. And then, yeah, this here just maintains the level in this pool. Wow, I've got hydrogen gas seeping throughout my entire colony. Every single room has hydrogen in it now. I'm sure glad none of these guys smoke. And then I also just started moving into areas where there's natural clay that I can harvest. So I can start making stuff that requires ceramic now. What is the deal with that? Logic activation parameters. Sends a green signal when reservoir is less than 0% full until it is 100% full. Okay, I guess a low threshold means do not let it fall below that. Maybe for now I should do this. That way it'll stockpile. Personally, I think that this thing here should move. I don't know if it does or not, but I think personally it should. Oh, no, wait, never mind. Oh, there we go. I'll just shut off the power plant. That must be why hydrogen has been escaping out into the main part of the base. Because this damn thing keeps stopping. Okay. Now, one thing I do know I need to get my hands on at some point is plastic, but I can only do that if I can get my hands on some oil and refine it. But having explored pretty far out, or well, somewhat far out into this asteroid already, I have not found any oil. I don't even know if this asteroid even has oil. It's possible it might not have any. I mean, look at this. I can see all the way out to here and no oil to be found, so yeah. That's a bit of a problem. Because I got all these systems that I can't build because I don't have any plastic, and I don't have plastic because I don't have petroleum or oil or petroleum products of any kind, and I don't have any petroleum products of any kind because I can't find any. So yeah, that's a bit of a pickle. Kind of like all this hydrogen floating around my base. Oh yeah, see, here's a perfect example of this in action. So this guy here is dumping power into this battery here, and then this battery is powering all this stuff here, so why is this thing not working? Oh, it's awaiting delivery. That explains a lot. There it is. Now let's see, how much algae do I have? A couple of tons. Yeah, I could use more. Now, luckily, this thing just converts slime into algae for power, for fuel and oxygen diffusers. Luckily, all it does is it just creates sewer water. It doesn't use any of the colony's main water, which I guess in a way, when you run it through a purifier like a sieve or whatever, it kind of like gives you a way to get more water into your system as long as there's slime to harvest. Now, I know that some people have found out ways of creating an infinite system where once all those systems are in place, your base never really needs to expand again, but honestly, it kind of feels a little bit cheaty to me, but then at the same time, I realize that if you don't have these kinds of systems in place, or if you never build them and never utilize them, then that creates the problem where your colony will eventually die, because not all water systems are 100% efficient when it comes to your people use the water, and then it creates an equal amount of sewer water, which then when processed creates an equal amount of new fresh water again. You know, I realize that doesn't work that way. Even if you don't use electrolyzers, which convert water to gas. And that's even if you use systems that convert gas back into water. You know, so eventually, even though it might take hundreds and hundreds of days or cycles, as this game calls them, you will eventually run out of water. You will eventually run out of algae. You will eventually run out of slime when you mine it all, which will eventually cause you to run out of algae again. And you will eventually run out of all kinds of other stuff. Unless you have the ability to do rocket missions, which I guess can bring resources back to the colony. But it's a question of, do you bring back more resources than you use or what? And eventually, colonies will die as a result. Because they'll run out of something vital. And there will be no way to get it more of it because you don't have an infinite system in place. You know, and I know that, like, these can be considered an infinite source of water over time, but the problem there is... Why is that idle? Oh, anyway. But yeah, eventually some vital resource will be completely exhausted, and your colony will die from lack of that resource. Because there was, like, no infinite way of generating more of it. Rowan and Nails are on the same schedule. Rowan's a loud snorer. So I'm going to put Nails on Charlie shift. And I'll put Ren on beta shift. I try to keep the loud snorers on separate schedules from the ones that from duplicates they might disturb. Okay. All right. So I'm going to power that system down for now because I literally have way too much free hydrogen floating around my colony. You know what I might do? Build a room up here and then capture some of these things to put in it because these things live in a hydrogen environment. And they apparently generate a resource my colony could use. So I'll put a room right here, and I'll let the free flowing hydrogen gas can flow into that space, and it'll give them something to breathe that'll cause them to produce that resource. So yeah, I can do that. And as for this space here, I think what I might do is just create like a vacuum room. I'll send a dupe in here to wrangle, or I'll send my animal sanctuary duplicate in here to wrangle those things and take them over to the hydrogen room. And then set up a decompression system in here that'll suck out all the chlorine, put it into a tank. And then from there, animated storage critter feeder. Oh, okay, so it's food for specific creatures. Which hatches will feed anything and crap out coal. Let's see. Give them some sandstone, some dirt. Okay. Awesome. Oh. Could always do with more. Could always do with my people moving a little more quickly. Let me see something here. I think I might have messed up with my plumbing routing. Oh no, I didn't. Never mind. Okay, so what this here is going to do is this system here is identical to these in that they pulling CO2 and convert it to sewer water. And that's what this one here is going to do. It's going to take the place of these systems here because all the CO2 is now at this level or lower in my colony, except for, you know, here and over in here and a couple of other places, like so. You know, and I've been trying to stay up on the oxygen generation, but for some reason, you know, gas dynamics being what they are. So, oh yeah, and then this system here supplies power to this system, which runs my entire plumbing system, so I cannot afford to have this thing go offline. But yeah. I was going to suck the polluted water out of here and funnel it into there so it can get purified. But then I'm also going to extend this into here. And there's apparently not enough water left for that pump to even be there now, so yeah. And then this here will become the latest filter room, pretty much. The latest air filter room. Oh yeah, and I might also install a few UV lights in here. Now, about the UV lights I was talking about, I've mostly been doing all the work that those do with these, even though they have a shorter radius than this one. That's because this thing requires 1,000 watts, but only needs to be run for like a split second. This one would need to be run continuously, but it only takes 50 watts, so it's easier to provide power to. But pretty much the gist of it is, I got a lot of slime lung bacteria in here that can affect my duplicates, and yeah, I got to get rid of that. But yeah, I also got to get this system in place first. And then also, once I get this whole system extended here, I'm going to install some UV lights in here so as to purify that as well. Let's see here. What is the radius of effect on these? See, I need them to be low enough, which you can see what their area of influence is. I need them to be low enough, and I need them to encompass the pump that'll be in the area. But I need them to basically, like set it right there, that would be a good spot. But basically they could purify the water that is in the sewer system so that it's free of bacteria by the time it ends up back over here in this main reservoir. And then I might remove these and reinstall them down lower to the bottom. If I can. So, yeah. Got that going on. And the hydrogen problem's getting worse. That's just freaking lovely. Also, I'm trying to upgrade these to the hydroponic ones where you run a clean water pipe through them. And, well, I don't know. Maybe they can use polluted water. Have you used this floor tile and rotated before construction? Oh yeah, you can rotate them for plants that start at the ceiling and grow down. Must be irrigated through liquid piping, liquid intake pipe. Yeah, it doesn't say any strict limitations on what kind of liquid can be used, so I guess you can irrigate them with sewer water if you want. Of course, that might contaminate any food you try growing in there, which means I might need to reroute this here pipe. This one too, maybe. Oh wait, no, that's regular water, and that one's the sewer line. So I might need to like take this sewer line here and run it to go through here and down this way. That's probably what I ought to do. And then you can also actually, another thing you can do with these things too, and this will cut down on the amount of time that your duplicates spend performing sanitation tasks, is you can like put one here. Let's see, how far out does this one go? Okay, so this one would cover the lavatories. This one would cover the rest of the room. So I could put like 2 of these in here. And even though... Crap. And even though... Oh, and then they also do... Let's see, if you make it out of copper and ceramic, it's a plus 30 decor. So you can also decorate your base with... You can also increase the decor value of your bases with these. And that also, in addition to pretty much eliminating the need for time spent on sterilization tasks. So that's also another good thing of this whole setup here. So yeah, you just put these wherever you have a lot of, you know, germiness going on, although sterilizing that thing's going to be a pain in the ass unless I like clear out the ceiling and install one up here. But then that would mean, you know, messing with this room here. But like I could put one there, and at least it'll keep the slime lung contained to this generator. How much algae do I have now thanks to that? Wow, I've actually gone down in how much algae I have. So I guess that system stays on. So yeah, these are actually a very versatile thing if you don't want to have, if you either do not want to, or you end up in a asteroid map that has a low amount of chlorine for purification purposes, if you know how to work with that, which I don't. I'm still kind of new to this game. So it comes in very handy, and the only real challenge to meeting its material requirements is you have to get into this kind of biome here where you're able to get clay and you have to turn it into ceramic. How much ceramic do I have? 2.3 tons. And the smaller lamp uses 50 kilograms. Oh, and then also you can do stuff like this too. And you can change what resource the thing is made from to influence different stat values. And I've got a nice cloud of hydrogen building up there too. Great. That is just freaking lovely. So, one thing that is also real helpful, if you want to set up a sort of gas sorting system where where you're able to influence how much gases are able to get to where you can work with them more easily. Like, for example, with hydrogen, it's the lightest gas in the game. It's going to float to the top of your base, but if you need it in the lower parts of your base, because you have power plants there, powering circuits local to that area, you can use these airflow tiles to allow the gas to flow up through the floor so that oxygen can flow all down through the ceiling. And the hydrogen can then end up here, where you can either use it for an animal sanctuary for animals that breathe hydrogen gas, or you can set up a vacuuming system in there that will remove the hydrogen gas, and then you can funnel or pipe it into other places. Of course, the thing with a vacuum room is, like, for instance, let's say I put a vacuum room there instead of a Drago sanctuary. Once the hydrogen ran out, it would then start pulling in whatever gas was up at this level and sending it wherever. So, because of that, what you might want to do is, in these central vertical shafts, remove the central ladder, because they can jump across the gap from one to another. Is remove the central ladder and put vents there. That way, if it's a gas like carbon dioxide, it'll fall to the bottom. If it's oxygen, it'll stay in the middle. If it's another gas that's also real light, it'll fly up to the top of your base, and you could have another vacuum room there. So, another option too, now that I think about it, is you could make a larger vacuum room to funnel to let gases naturally funnel into, and then from there what you do is this: you set up one vacuum system, but with multiple filters. So now we can go, okay, hydrogen goes this way, oxygen goes to the middle of the base, carbon dioxide goes to the scrubber room, instead of letting things flow naturally. That's another option. So, there's actually a lot of ways you can go about it now that I've actually had time to think about it some more. Oh yeah, see? There's that in action. So yeah, I've got all this going on here. Oh, and I guess now that this is done, I no longer need this vent here, so I'm going to have to remove some of these pipes. So, yeah, I got that going on too. So, okay, yeah, I guess this steam vent is active. Yeah, see, like, this is an example of a steam vent without my messing with its environment. See how it's, if you look at the lower thing there where it says steam, that's 227 degrees is the temperature of that steam. We move further away from it, it's, like, for instance, 208. This water is 145. You get out to here, it's 135. So, like, for instance, this right here would actually be well within first-degree burn territory for using this water to take a shower with. So, if I tried to drain this water pool, actually, I wonder, what? Now, I never studied the germs in this game too much. Let me see here. Slime lung. Temperature range, 50 to 212 Fahrenheit. So it can survive up to the boiling point of water. Multiplies in slime and polluted oxygen. Inhibited by gas. Killed by solids. Oxygen liquid. Disinfected by bleach stone and chlorine. Temperature range. So anything below 49 or lower and 212 or higher, will, if it's outside of that temperature range, I think it'll kill it. So if I were to set up I could set up a room potentially where, I mean, I could set up these polluted water systems to where polluted water, additional states, steam, polluted ice. Okay, so there's no way to use heat to purify it. All you would do is kill the bacteria, and then when the temperature dropped, bacteria would start to multiply again, in theory. Like I said, I'm new to this game, so there's chances are probably a lot of you already know whether or not my idea is actually going to work or not. Feel free to let me know in the comments below if I'm either a genius for inspiring something you haven't thought of yet, or a dumbass for doing something you've already tried and it didn't work. And how stupid I am for thinking that a game would be able to follow such logic. So if that's the case, but on the off chance it is actually the case, I'm going to try setting this up, which means I need to research radiant liquid pipes, which I think also, if it hypothetically speaking, if it were to work, you would need these radiant liquid pipes, because considering how hot the water would have to get in order to kill bacteria, you don't want to expose your citizens to that temperature. So you would naturally need one of these radiant pipes to dissipate the heat as it flows through the system. But on the other hand, what you could also do is set up a multi-reservoir system, okay? You have one system where water that is contaminated with germs goes in. These tepidizers raise the temperature to the waters to just above the point where germs would be killed, and then have it flow into another reservoir where you have one of these systems, or even just a system that stores the water until it cools down. Or you can use these thermo aqua tuners, which cools the liquid. It says cools the liquid pipe through it, but outputs heat in its immediate vicinity. So that's another thing you could do too, is you could use these as a sort of, if these things are able to be immersed in water, then what you could do is use them as a sort of heat recycler, in that you have these to get the water temperature up, but then you flow it through a series of those to cool it back down again. And what they'll do is the heat that they siphon off of the liquid, they put that back into the antibacterial tank to help maintain the water temperature, while at the same time cooling the purified water. And then that pumps it back out into the main plumbing system. And you could also set up multiple germ-killing reservoirs that use germ sensors to enable or disable the outflow system, so that when the germ level reaches 0, the outflow system kicks on, drains the tank, and then when the water level in that tank drops to a certain pressure, you can then use sensors like, where is it? Like this one, for example. Like, let's say I wanted to convert this tank for that purpose. I put tepidizers in the bottom to raise the temperature of the water, and then also thermal regulators to lower the temperature once it gets down to a certain point. And when it gets down to when the temperature, or when the germ count in this tank was to drop to 0, interesting, there's no germs in this tank considering the water it was piped in from. I mean, you can barely see it, but there are germs in this tank, just not very much. But anyway, just pause that for a second, because I'm like not tending to these guys at all. They've just been running around doing their own thing. But anyway, say I wanted to use this for an antibacterial system. Tepidizers in the bottom to raise the temperature. Those things that suck the water out, or not suck the water out, but the things that cool the water, to cool the water when it's flowing out. Pump in here to also help with the outflow. And then have a sensor like this down near the bottom, that when it says the tank is empty, it then goes ahead and opens this up to let more germified water in. This fills back up. The germ sensor detects the germified water and shuts off the outflow system. And then the tepidizers go to work, heating the water up to kill the bacteria that way. And after that, and then the cycle just repeats, and then you can set up multiple tanks so that you can do it in like staggered stages. So like, you know, imagine if I got this like 3 or 4 more of this tank, and of course the tank would have to be bigger to work more efficiently. But for example, this tank is getting filled with germ-filled water. This tank is purifying it. A tank over here has got water that's already purified that's being drained. And then when this tank does drain, this tank is filled and is purifying and is heating the water up to purify it, while this one is finishing the purifying process and is getting ready to have itself drained. And then whenever it is drained, the hell? My game seems to have glitched. Or somehow I ended up in unknown territory. I'm thinking that's the case. That's okay. There we go. Alright. But anyway, that is what I would do if I didn't have this mod. But honestly, I didn't think to try purifying water by raising its temperature. But at the same time, that consumes a lot of power that I don't have access to right now. So I might go ahead and continue using these lamps for purifying water. Yeah, sorry about that. For some reason, because the thing with using the new dual monitor setup I've got is that anytime I drag something and my mouse goes off one monitor and onto the other, it counts as like alt-tabbing out, and this game will not stay active on one screen while I'm doing something on another. See, like if I go and adjust the volume or the gain on my microphone up or down, yes, you guys can still see what I'm doing, but on my screen it like minimizes the game. So, but it still stays up in the video because the way I've got my recorder set up, it's like I don't have to be in the window for you guys to see it. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and continue to use these lamps for now because they use such a low amount of power. And also, considering that the smaller lamps only use 50 watts, I could actually put them into each individual room's own separate power grid. Which, oh, there is a fill level indicator. Okay, that's cool. And then also as I'm repurposing rooms, I'm going to try to put a hydrogen power plant in every level with a manually powered system that, yeah. But, you know, now that I've tested this system, I think what I also might do is I might take this room and move it up to the top level of my base and have it be in an otherwise hermetically sealed space. Like in here, for instance, but replace these with airlocks. And then, you know, that way I don't have hydrogen escaping out into my base. And then for when I set up the sanctuary for these guys, because they breathe hydrogen and I guess they exhale chlorine, it can also be a hermetically sealed environment with, what is it? These things. Because I can get hydrogen canisters from the hydrogen storage room, and then from there put a canister emptier like inside a room like this, and then duplicants can, I can make a decompressed room that duplicants can then fill with hydrogen gas. So there's that option. And then if these things really do exhale chlorine, then what I could do, god damn it, then what I could do is, like, for instance, have a room just under the room where the hydrogen gets generated, and have that be one that siphons off, or have, no, wait, let me rephrase that. Have a room below the room where the Drecos are, and if they do exhale chlorine, which is this, you know, and if they do exhale chlorine, which is this gas right here, then, like, let's say I had them in here, I could use air tiles to allow the hydrogen to stay in their area, but then the chlorine would fall down here, and then I could have a separate room that that bottles the chlorine up into another one of these tanks, which these tanks are actually capable of storing any gas. So that's another thing I might look into doing too, is having setting up oxygen tanks that can act as a reserve flow of, or a reserve store of air for, you know, when things like this are not working properly. And oh yeah, like I was saying, because these are not airtight, you can see oxygen is leaving this room and going into here where these guys are working, which these guys are charging up this power grid, and then this power grid powers this stuff here, and then down here in this kitchen, which apparently this power grid is now under strain, which means I've got to break this power grid up into 2 separate circuits. So yeah, there's that. I guess I need to make I need to make another swimming pool room for these Pacus, because I'm about to destroy their area. And then I also need to get an HVAC system installed too, because, I mean, look at this. I'm starting to build out into areas where the asteroid's getting hotter and hotter. So, yeah, there's that too. And then, like, in this area here, it's also getting really hot. I mean, it's getting hotter and hotter because of all the heat that's being generated up here and is now flowing down. So I need to cool this off here. Because when I started this map, this area here was very much in the green, and it's gradually getting hotter and hotter over time. So, there's that too. So yeah, I've got a whole laundry list of problems that this colony needs to overcome before any more significant progress can be made, and that hydrogen pocket's getting bigger. So, yeah, I gotta figure out a way to deal of getting this hydrogen into this tank. So yeah, now that I've actually tried some of these systems and I know, and I've learned their flaws, it's yeah, I got my work cut out for me. So yeah, this is the new colony. Like I said, I was going to start in my previous video. In my next one, I'm going to, if I make any progress, I'm going to show you guys how I managed to progress and how I did it. And hopefully someone who's new to this game will benefit from that knowledge. So until then, I am the Sage of Games, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.